There seems to be a whole lot of misinformation and things about the federal agents withdrawing from Portland, and I'm going to clear some of that up. So there are a lot of news agencies that are reporting that all feds are leaving downtown Portland. Anybody in any news agencies that says all federal agents are leaving downtown Portland are lying to you. They're framing a certain narrative, and I'll explain why they're framing this narrative and why they're doing it on purpose here in just a minute. The reality is this, and there's a lot of smaller ones. New York Times kind of got it right for the most part. There are caveats. No, under no circumstances at all, under no agreement, are all federal officers leaving downtown Portland. Excess federal officers are leaving downtown Portland under conditions. You see, the Democrats, are trying to declare victory in Portland. However, they lost. They straight gave up. They lost. So the Democrats drew back the police early on during the riots and left the rioters to attack no one but the feds, and left the feds to protect the courthouse by themselves. Being greatly outnumbered after 39 days of rioting, by the way. They didn't send in any excess federal agents to the courthouse for 39 days. They kept asking the police to do their job, and the police refused to do their job. The police pulled back. And then the Democrats said, hey, we have nothing to do with the violence. We pulled our police back. Yeah, you pulled your police back. That's what caused the violence. You pulled your police back, and they started attacking the courthouse. The courthouse was under attack, so the feds sent more reinforcements to the courthouse to help those poor agents inside that were trapped in there for 39 days. Even Secretary Chad Wolf said they only want the Portland police to do their job. If the Portland police would do their job, the federal agents wouldn't even be there. Now, they're pulling out the excess officers. Now, here's the caveat. Here's the condition. They're pulling excess officers out of Portland, but only after Portland police have proven that they're doing their job. If the Portland police prove that they are not doing their job, well, we could expect more federal officers to arrive. Somebody's got to keep law and order. I mean, that's just the way it is. Somebody has got to keep law and order. But Mayor Wheeler calling for a ceasefire is kind of weird, I think. How are you calling for a ceasefire, Mayor Wheeler? Are you saying that you control Antifa? You are the leader of Antifa. You can call for a ceasefire and Antifa is going to be like, okay, and obey you? That's kind of odd. But they're framing a narrative, and here's the narrative that they are framing. There are like 10 Cent. 10 Cent is saying all federal officers are leaving. Mayor Wheeler gave an interview saying all federal officers are leaving, but they're not. The regular amount of officers that are there every day, every year to protect the courthouse are still going to be there. They are the regular employees that are there, the regular ones. They're always there. They're pulling out the excess if the Portland police can prove that they're doing their dang job. Now, what's happening is with all these local newspapers and Mayor Wheeler saying all feds are pulling out, when they see the regular feds there, they can call out saying, see, all feds didn't leave, but we are not abandoning Portland. The federal government is not saying Portland is its own nation and pulling out all federal officers. Every city has federal officers in it. If you have a federal courthouse, you've got federal officers in it. If you've got an FBI office, you've got federal officers there. Every major city has federal officers in it and federal offices. And these are the normal employees that are always going to be there. But they're already, for my discussions online with people, they're already saying, oh, see, look, they were supposed to leave on Thursday. They're supposed to leave on Thursday. Well, they started leaving on Monday. They started leaving on Monday. In fact, they left on Sunday night. They're doing a step down, which is a sensible thing. They're under attack. You don't want to create a vacuum and pull all your troops out. And they've gone into negotiations with Wheeler and said, look, if you prove that your police are going to do their job, we will pull the excess officers out. If they do not, if the police do not do their job, then we won't. See, this whole thing is all about framing. The Portland police go in, things get violent. Portland police and the Democrats say, well, this makes us look bad. We want Trump to look bad. We want the feds to look bad. So they pull out and they didn't do this. See, we have nothing to do with the violence. It's all Trump. It's all the feds. And then after finally 39 days of an attack, what choice do the feds have but to send in reinforcements to help protect federal property and federal agents that are there protecting the federal property? And then Portland and the Democrats and whatnot can kick back and say, see, our police aren't doing anything. But that's the point. Your police weren't doing anything. They weren't doing their job. They weren't. They were instructed to not engage with the protesters, giving the protesters free rein to attack the federal courthouse. And now the new narrative. Now what? Now when you see the regular employee at the courthouse that's been there for 10, 15, 20 years, he's worked every day there, and he's like, yeah, I live here. This is where I work every day. And then they're going to say, see, all the feds didn't pull out. Mark my words. That's what they're going to do. No, all the feds are not pulling out. Just the excess ones. The ones that live in Portland. The ones that live there. The ones that are federal agents, and they live there, and it's their regular job. They're going to remain there. I mean, that just makes common sense. They live there. That's their job. It's a federal courthouse. All federal courthouses have security. All regular courthouses have security. And then again, on to the very last little bit that I want to talk about the undercover officers, because people just don't seem to be able to get it through their heads. Whatever city you live in, if you go out there, there's a high chance that you have unmarked, undercover, plainclothed officers. Almost every city, not even just major cities, a lot of mediocre and small and tiny mom and pop towns have them too. Town out not far from here that has a total population of like 300, not far from here. There's a lot of small towns in my area. They have plainclothes officers, and officers that drive a pickup truck with no markings on it, but you can see the lights through the grills. It's a cop car, but it's not marked. And they're plain clothes, and it happens all the time. So you're cherry-picking a certain situation to frame your narrative. You can't cherry-pick situations because it only makes your cause look good in the short term. In the long term, people are going to look at it and tear it apart because the truth will always find a way through, and clear heads will always find a way out. Now, that said, I love you guys. Do your own information, but watch the Portland thing. Watch how the narrative gets framed. The people that live in Portland and work in Portland that just so happen to be federal officers are not leaving. And when they don't leave, you watch the news, and you watch how the news is going to say, well, all federal officers didn't leave. Well, yeah, no crap. That's their job. They live there. That's what they do. They've been doing it for, 10, 15, 20 years per person? I mean, good Lord. It's how you frame a narrative. It's all weird. I love you guys. You guys stay informed and know that, yes, all federal officers are not leaving, and it's under a caveat. If the Portland police do their job, the officers leave. If the Portland police don't do their job, the officers don't. Which brings it circular back to the beginning. In the beginning, if Portland police had done their job, feds wouldn't have sent anybody in. Portland police don't do their jobs, feds sent people in. Makes perfect sense. I love you guys. Stay informed, do your own research, watch dissenting opinions, and I'll see you on the next one.